Welcome to Visionaries Global Media, your number one source for podcasting entertainment. Visionaries Global Media, envisioning excellence on a global scale.
This is banned from ringside.
Hey everybody, happy Thursday. Right now it's Thursday at 8:22 p.m. We're starting it off a little differently than usual because less than 2 hours, or I'd say probably about 2 hours ago, Zach texted the group and with the absolutely terrible and shocking news that Wyndham Rotunda, a.k.a. Bray Wyatt, a.k.a. the Eater of Worlds, a.k.a. Husky Harris, has passed away suddenly at the age of 36. I didn't feel like doing the real high-energy AKA segment that I had scheduled for tonight, and then going into this, there's no other word for it, it's tragic news. Sean Ross Sapp has reported and said that he got permission to report that Bray Wyatt was diagnosed with some sort of heart condition, which was exacerbated when he contracted COVID earlier this year, and he was on the road to recovery and suffered from a heart attack today and has passed away, like I said, at the age of 36. So you're going to be spending the next there's going to be many reflections on this. People are going to be doing their tributes. People are going to be talking about it. I thought about I was thinking about this for a while over the last hour or so about how we were going to do this, thinking about maybe not mentioning it at all, or, hey, don't worry, we're going to talk about this next week or something, because we do have a big week of wrestling to talk about. Of course, Terry Funk, legendary Terry Funk, one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest of all time, also passed away this week. He was 79, though, quite a bit less tragic. But if anything, you know, these podcasts can be a snapshot on time and a place. It's kind of fun to go back and listen to some of our podcasts, this one. But, you know, we should talk about it. So, Jason, your instant reaction when you heard that Bray Wyatt had passed away at 36?
Obviously shocked. Always thinking in the back of my mind, and especially with Cody Rhodes' story being told as we speak, Bray Wyatt was a name that was mentioned for the next opponent for Cody Rhodes' next feud, whatever you want to call it. For me, just thinking about Bray is, you know, the what could have been with Bray, what should have been with Bray at certain points. It always feels like Bray had gotten to a certain point, and then for whatever reason, whether it was booking or otherwise, things just seemed to crumble when he came back the second time. I know we all had our reservations because of how the first chapter ended, and I'll just speak for myself on this one. This is the what could have been, you know, him having to come back, and in my opinion, it just wasn't a very successful second run, and there was a lot of questions of where this was going to go, where Bray Wyatt was going to go long term, and now hearing this, you know, it kind of sets things back into perspective. Amazing talent. I mean, and I guess I'm one of the few that really liked the Firefly Funhouse WrestleMania match because it made me think. It wasn't something that was, I believe it was the same WrestleMania you had the AJ Styles Undertaker match where it was the Buried Alive match. Okay.
Yeah, cinematic matches on different nights.
Okay. So that one was much more of what people were used to seeing, the Hardy Boys and TNA kind of deal, the Total Deletion angle. This was just different. It was Bray Wyatt's vision, how he wanted to do a cinematic match, and for me, it hit the mark. For others, it didn't. And I guess that's another thing with Bray Wyatt, very polarizing. I'll go with that. Either you love the Bray Wyatt gimmick from the first time, from the Swamp, the Wyatt family, to this current incarnation of Bray Wyatt, or you just didn't. There was very few people that I knew was like, well, Bray Wyatt was kind of like, no, it was either, to me, it was either one side or the other. There was no sitting on the fence with Bray Wyatt. So in that scenario, as a wrestler, that's good because you don't want people on the fence. Either they like you or they hate you, and that's the Vince McMahon WWE reaction of things. What should have been the Wyatt and the Shield, the Wyatt family and the Shield was a slam dunk trios match that could have just done amazing things for all 6 people, and they never even touched on that. So it's ultimately, it was a shock when I woke up from my nap and I saw it, and I was thinking about what I wanted to say because I pretty much figure I got one shot to say it, so I'll just say this. Obviously, it's a shock, and condolences going out to the family. For me, Bray Wyatt will always be one of the biggest what-ifs in wrestling history. Not even WWE, in wrestling history, because there was chances where he could have transcended and been a bigger superstar, and for, like I said, for whatever reason, it never really panned out. So for me, it's rest in peace, Bray Wyatt. You're in a better place now. Wrestling will miss you. It was a genius that never really fully flourished, in my opinion.
Zach, your thoughts?
Yeah, huge bummer. And this one really sucks because, I mean, he was 36. You know, he's got 4 kids, and I think that's something that kind of makes this much worse. Because, like you said, you know, I was still kind of reeling about Terry Funk, and had a lot of time to contemplate Terry Funk's career and appreciate it. And Terry Funk's been old my whole life, right? Or at least my whole awareness of him. He was Bray Wyatt's age. He was actually younger. He was older than Bray Wyatt when I was born. So it's just kind of fucked up.
He was Bray Wyatt's age when he had his first retirement match in Japan. I read that today.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, he was 36 or 37, something like that. He was a young man.
Yeah, that was like 1983. And, yeah, so, you know, it just hits different. And, you know, it's a lot like Brody Lee. It's very eerie in the sense that they were both kind of like different conditions. Although, as Sean Rossap reported, you know, Bray had gotten COVID earlier this year, and because he had a pre-existing heart problem, and you know that caused him to have a heart attack, and that's fucked up too because without this pandemic, you know, lost so many people. But it is absolutely crazy. No 36-year-old, especially like, you know, dude's like a professional athlete, like should not just be dying, right? So that's the crazy thing. I haven't even really thought about his career. He definitely always was entertaining, and he was very polarizing, which some of my favorite people, some of my favorite entertainers in the world across the genre, across different media, are very polarizing. So, you know, definitely one of the more creative dudes, and like Jason said, that you know, when we had the empty arena Firefly Funhouse match, that was a lot of fun, and looking forward to going back and reliving some of that stuff. I didn't really see the beginning of his career, so this would kind of afford me an opportunity to go back and look at some of that. But yeah, I think the most impactful thing is just like how young he was, and the family that he had. Yeah, just feel for his family. I mean, his dad having to bury one of his kids, you know, Bo Dallas, like, you know, hearts out to those guys. So that's really it.
Yeah, I'll remember Bray Wyatt, the performer, as somebody who took big swings. And, man, like in an art form or in a creative field of any kind, really, you can't really fault a guy for doing that. And you got to have respect for somebody that is as creative as he was. And, you know, not all of it landed for me. That's besides the point. I would rather watch somebody do something interesting and have it not work than somebody do something boring and, you know, have it just be forgettable. Nothing that Bray Wyatt did, certainly while he was in WWE post-Nexus, was forgettable. It was all pretty memorable, even if you hated it. It was like, holy shit, well, this guy is doing something. This guy is on a different plane than everybody else. It might not be what you want to see, but man, he's taking big swings. and God bless him for that. Obviously, my heart goes out to his family. Friend of the show, Joey O'Farrell, had a personal relationship with him when Joey worked with WWE for a while. He always talked about how Bray Wyatt, Wyndham Rotunda, was the coolest guy, and that he did a lot of work with special needs children and things of that nature. So, from just from firsthand account, with Joey being one of our best friends, I mean, that is quite an endorsement from somebody like Joey. And Joey is not a liar. Or he also doesn't blow smoke where smoke doesn't deserve to be blown.
Joey doesn't have anything nice to say about anybody.
That's right. That's exactly right. But he has always had nothing but nice things to say about Bray Wyatt. So I'll also say that when Bray Wyatt came out as when the Wyatt family first came, they were badass. Him and Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, the whole look, that fucking Hawaiian shirt with the fedora hat vibe, kind of slobby, Cape Fear, but also being like extremely like enigmatic and kind of cult leaderish. Follow the buzzards, one of my favorite catchphrases of that era of WWE. Very cool. He also had me mark out super hard. I'll never forget what he said. I think he was saying it wasn't John Cena. I forget who he said it to be honest, but he said, if you look up to me, you'll see a friend. If you look down on me, you'll see an enemy. If you look me dead in the eye, you'll see a god. And I get chills just thinking about that line. God damn, what a badass. So rest in peace, Bray Wyatt. Like I said, I'm sure there's going to be plenty more to say about him in the weeks to come. There are going to be tributes. He was... The way that wrestling is, it's a small town. Everybody knew him, and it seemed like he was very well liked. So, rest in peace, Bray Wyatt.
This is Banned from Ringside.
Tonight on the Banned from Ringside podcast, RIPTerryFunk. AEW has a really, really good go-home show. Jim Ross compares Darby Allin to Allen Iverson for some reason, and we have your AEW All-In at Wembley Stadium predictions. That and a whole bunch more tonight on the Banned from Ringside podcast. Did you catch the Allen Iverson thing?
You see my face, right?
You didn't catch it?
Hell no.
Oh, my God. It was tremendous. Ditch that 9 to 5. Okay. It's time to feel alive. Hello, Marks. Welcome to the Banned from Ringside podcast. As always, I am your host, Bill Vagey, a.k.a. Terry, fuck your couch. Terry, fuck what you heard. Hold on a second. I got a whole bunch. Terry Funky Brewster, Terry Windmill Funk, Terry Funkin' Donuts, Smarty March and the Terry Funky Bunch, Terry Crunk up in this bitch, Terry Godmother Funk, Terry Grand's Funk Railroad, Terry Punk Rock, Terry Don't Fake the Funk on a Nasty Dunk, Terry Funk Master Flex. And sitting right across from me, we have Jason Cornelius Bell. What's going on, JCB?
I needed that laugh. That was funny fucking shit.
Yeah, I didn't want to do that and go right into fucking...
No, that's well done. That's why you're the quarterback. That's why you get paid the big bucks. Don't fake the funk on the nasty dunk. That's what you started that. I was saying it with you. So, yeah, that's perfect. Great job across the board. That's funny shit. On that lovely note, I'm not even going to filibuster. I'll ask the congregation to bow their heads as I read from the latest edition of the Banned from Ringside podcast, volume 322, chapter 3, verse 14. And the good smart saith, hashtag boo the heels. It's all good, baby. Listen, share, subscribe, repeat the holy trinity of BFR. Plenty to talk about, plenty to discuss. Predictions at the end. Let's do this shit.
And out there in Portland, Oregon, we have Two Beers, Zach Pullman. What's going on, Two Beers, Zach?
BFR West is in the house.
No, I think about it, young black girls now, they have the Little Mermaid that they can look up to. And for me, Bray Wyatt just proved that I can leave my wife looking like I do and get a girl as hot as JoJo. So
A tribute unlike any others. Everybody else just might as well hang them up.
I say everybody needs to aspire to something. You just trying to upgrade the wife. That's unbelievable. Tara can't be anywhere close,
he's a
right?
Hero. He's a hero.
That's like when Elton John changed "Candle in the Wind" for Princess Diana. It's like everybody else's tributes are null and void. Can't get any better than that.
Wrap it up.
We are coming at you.
Joking aside, I don't know how to process information without joking about it. So, but joking aside, things are kind of a bummer. But we're gonna get through the podcast.
Yeah, we're gonna get through it. There's tons of wrestling to talk about. We are going to celebrate Terry Funk's live. We're coming at you from steamy hot St. Charles, Missouri. It's been 104 degrees here for a long time. It feels like we're on the surface of the fucking sun, 100% humidity. But we're going to sweat it out here. I'm so thankful that I have the podcast. I was telling Aaron tonight, I was like, man, it's nice to have all this wrestling to talk about and being able to talk about it for the next 2 hours with you guys. No Vice tonight, but he'll be back next week, I'm sure. Without further ado, let's get to that 3 count.
1, 2, 3.
JCB, kick it off.
Let's go WWE as the 1 count. Few things I want to kind of throw out to the general consensus, see what we got on SmackDown. I think the biggest story on SmackDown was obviously the main event where you had Edge versus Sheamus.
Why didn't I put that in the intro?
I got you back.
Thank you.
Edge apparently, well, I shouldn't say apparently, this is his last contracted match in WWE. Now, what the future holds for Edge is TBA. There's obviously rumors with him going to AEW. I thought I saw something today on Twitter where WWE is not going to want to sign Edge back, so something to kind of look ahead towards if he does go to AEW. That might be the reason that WWE doesn't even want Edge back, which is kind of a surprise if that's the case, but neither here nor there. Let's just talk about the physical match itself. I thought this was one of Edge's better matches, considering how long he's been off, and I've heard people kind of running down the match because Edge was catching wind or whatever the case may be. I'll just say this. You have a 6'2", 260 guy beat on you for about 20 minutes and have to drag him around. See the airplane scene where Lou Cinder finally snaps on the white kid when he was like, my dad says that Bob Lanier, hustles down the court. And he's like, you have your old man drag Lanier walking down for the court for 40 minutes to see how he reacts. It's the same thing right there. Edge is not even past his prime, but later into his prime, okay? And now you're asking him to work a stiff match with one of the stiffest guys on the roster, and people had the audacity to complain. I just don't get wrestling fans sometimes. I thought this was a really good match. It was a really good way to end the show because it was basically an Edge tribute. Edge won. He went over in his hometown. I don't understand what the fuck the problem is. Some people really just need to get in the ring or wait tables or do whatever it is they want to criticize and then come back and have a better perspective on things in life. Edge is a fucking legend. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer when his time comes up for WWE. And the first thing people want to talk about is, he's past his prime. He's gassed. Yada, yada, yada. Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit.
Hey, so I don't really get on WWE Twitter too much anymore. Was anybody on wrestling Twitter saying anything like Edge should have put over the young up-and-comer whippersnapper Sheamus? Should have gone out on his back? Was there any of that talk?
No, honestly, I didn't see that, and I wouldn't expect to see that. This would be one of those times where Edge needs to go over. You cannot have Edge take the L in his hometown. No. Toronto would have imploded. Nobody would have got out of there in one piece. Just go ahead. Just be gracious for once. This ain't the Vince WWE. This is a Triple H WWE. You can be petty in certain instances. I'm not saying you can't because I'm thinking about being petty my damn self. However,
it was an exhibition match. I mean, Edge should have gone over.
I agree. Totally.
Like the Globetrotters don't lose to the Generals. Zach, what do you think about this match?
Very solid match. Very solid main event in a show that was built around the whole thing. I liked all the promo packages about Edge. I remember Edge's debut, like, was watching live whenever dude, like, used to sit up in the stands, and I didn't catch his whole rated R thing. I had pieced out by then, but I was there for the Brood, and I wasn't there for his retirement or anything. But regardless, he was definitely a WWE legend. I love the fact that Jason described him as a first ballot Hall of Famer, like they actually cast ballots for the WWE Hall of Fame. Like,
motherfucker, you know what I'm talking about.
Out of a hat.
He's already in.
Yeah, he's already in. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, regardless where he goes, remember, like, he was like kayfabing us, saying, he wasn't coming back to the ring before he showed up to the Rumble. So, he's not gonna telegraph this thing. So even if he doesn't show up on WWE TV for a while, I wouldn't be surprised to see him show up in the Rumble or something. You know what I mean? Like, he's just gonna be that guy. But I think what Phil said, as far as putting Sheamus over, yeah, definitely not. If this is the end of his run, this like few-year run that he did, I do think that he did not do enough to put young talent over. Like, Balor should have won WrestleMania. He could have taken some more L's.
Balor won at WrestleMania.
Balor didn't feel like he won the whole thing, like the feud or whatever. I feel like he lost way more than he won. Anyway, I could be wrong about that. It felt like the run was like kind of like self-congratulatory, which is fine. I mean, he's a legend, but for the money they're paying him, maybe they could have. He did do the Judgment Day thing, but he pieced out. He wasn't the reason the Judgment Day got successful. So.
Yeah, no, he's not the reason Judgment Day got successful, but to me, like when Damian Priest when Damian Priest helped him at that one WrestleMania, I was like, oh, this is a big deal for Damian Priest. I get what you're saying. It's arguable one way or the other. I think that he was kind of hamstrung because he made that big return at the Royal Rumble. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the world shut down 3 months later. So it's like he got his pop when he came back at the Royal Rumble, and then he was a big deal. And then crowds went away, and then he main event at WrestleMania with Roman Reigns and got stacked up with Daniel Bryan. Roman Reigns stacked them on top of each other and pinned them both. Which I remember liking that quite a bit when it happened. I was like, ooh, that's pretty badass. I'm not the biggest Edge fan. I am a huge Edge and Christian fan. I love Edge as the funny heel as opposed to the earnest babyface. I put on Friends of BFR on Facebook on Friday night. I was like, because Edge came out and he hugged Beth Phoenix and he hugged his kid and he stood up on the ropes and he was getting his ovation and he was just kind of looking around the crowd like he was all taking it in for his last time and he was just really like savoring the moment. And I put on Friends of BFR, not to be a downer or, a naysayer, but it's like, man, that would have carried a lot more water with me if he didn't do that every fucking time he comes out to the fucking ring. It's like he always looks great.
He does do that, yeah.
It's just annoys me so bad. It just strikes me as so insincere. It's very Cena-like to me when Cena talks about how much he loves the fans and shit like that. It might be true. He might be just living in the moment that much, like me on shrooms at a Ween show or something. But that's not, I just have a hard time believing it. That being said, what is interesting to me is what he does next, because he has not been, and I think it was Zach that said something about WWE has basically said that they don't plan on re-signing him again. Is he going to AEW, Jason, in your opinion? And if he goes to AEW, how big of a deal is that?
I wouldn't care if he went as long as it's not in a wrestling. He's not a full-time wrestler. He's him and Christian reconnect in that scenario and they create havoc. Now, if you want to do that, fair enough. AEW's roster is loaded. They don't need Edge to wrestle shit. I forgot what the second question. I apologize.
If he does go to AEW, how big of a deal is it?
It's a deal because it's Edge, but I don't think it's like it's not a big deal like when Adam Cole, Bryan Danielson went over, guys along these lines. It's a deal. It's not like it's moving the needle.
Zach, same question.
I tell you what, he shows up, immediately pairs with Christian. Then, guess what music hits? Oh my God, it's the Dudleys. We have Hardy's, Edge and Christian, Dudleys, TLC, number 34 in Wembley Stadium next year.
They would die.
I'm just joking.
They would die.
Yeah,
no, I'm fully joking.
Somebody is going to just wreck their neck. I got 50 on Jeff.
I would love the fuck out of that. I would really love the
I
fuck
got
out of
$50 as Jeff comes out different.
No, I just I think he would be handled well. Like, Christian's doing amazing work. Sting is doing amazing work. If he's in that kind of role, that's awesome. Like, I don't want him back in like the world title picture, but if he comes and he does like he goes out there and it seems like he's having the time of his life and he's doing creative stuff, that's cool with me. I mean,
I'll tell you what, I gotta disagree with both of you pretty much. I think that if he went to AEW, it would be a bigger deal for AEW than Adam Cole or Bryan Danielson, because I think that Edge is the type of quote-unquote superstar that would actually bring some eyes that might be reluctant to go to AEW. It would make a lot of WWE, not necessarily the people that are on the internet all day every day, but the people that, work jobs and don't necessarily make wrestling part of their entire identity and don't look up stuff on the internet all the time. They might see Edge. Oh, Edge is over there. I might want to watch Edge. It's to me, it's like Jericho going over there. I mean, I think that Edge is
no way.
It's not like Jericho going over there at the very beginning, but it is the type of star that Jericho was. It is a huge WWE star. Edge is a huge star. Bigger star than Bryan Danielson ever was over there, except for that one run to WrestleMania, in my opinion. I could be completely wrong.
Only WWE. Like, I don't know what kind of impact he had on indies, if he had any, but I mean, I was probably 10 years old whenever Edge came to WWE, and he's only ever been there, right? He didn't go to, he retired there, so he's only ever been there.
Had one of the greatest monikers ever when he first started in WWE. You remember what it was? Sexton Hardcastle.
Nice. I do remember that. That's fucking
Sexton Hardcastle.
I do remember that.
That's tremendous. I hope he goes to AEW. I'm rooting for it.
Look, if he does, great. But I don't think it. I think you're overplaying the Edge popularity card.
I might be.
If casual AEW fans haven't tuned in at this point, I don't see Edge being the tipping block where it's like, oh, shit, now I got to start watching. There's been plenty of guys that have been in WWE that have been in the Edge era, whether it's Rated R Superstar, Judgment Day, whatever the case may be. If you haven't followed them over to AEW and at least start watching at that point, I would be a little surprised that Edge is going to be the guy that's like, now, oh, shit. Randy Orton, okay, maybe that would make a needle move a little more if Orton decided he wanted to jump.
I think that Edge is not as big as Randy Orton in the realm in which we're speaking, but I do think that he's close. I mean, Edge's primary two rivals, if you named his two biggest rivals...
Cena and Orton.
Those are pretty big fucking names.
Agreed.
So I don't know. It's interesting. I kind of just want to see it. I mean, there is so much fucking wrestling to fill now, and they have.
It's whether he wants to do it or not. He doesn't have to do it. He can ride off into the sunset right now and be okay.
Yeah, but he just loves that crowd so much. You think he's done? I mean, he needs to come out another 40 or 50 times and just really savor it. You know what I mean? He's really gonna get it all. Just take it all in. You know what I mean?
I don't think he's done. I don't think it moves the needle like you think it does.
Fair enough. That was a nice. That was a civil disagreement.
It won't happen again.
Let's ramp it up. What else, Jason?
Let's go back to the top of the show. Grayson Waller effect. His guest this week was Santos Escobar and Rey Mysterio. So obviously Rey Mysterio winning the U.S. title off of Austin Theory was a little bit of discussion last week. Grayson Waller definitely made sure to stir the pot between Santos and Rey Mysterio. Santos not biting that apple just yet. I still think ultimately Santos turns on Rey Mysterio. If that's the case, then Rey Mysterio's just having a rough time of things where he's got his son turning on him and now his brother in the LWO turning on him. We'll see what happens there. Austin Theory defeats LA Knight in I would just call it the winner was going to face Rey Mysterio next up for the U.S. Championship. Some fuckery came around. Austin Theory wins that match, so he and Rey Mysterio will wrestle again for the U.S. title. I'm not sure why they just didn't invoke the rematch clause, but hey, what the fuck do I know? Bianca and Charlotte team again. They defeat Io and Bayley. Bayley taking the pin is fine. I just don't get why we have Bianca and Charlotte together. It's very mismatches on that. And then I'll leave it here where you guys can discuss from this point on. We had the first in-ring heel match of the Street Profits. They beat down the OC, give us a new finisher. Bobby Lashley comes out and celebrates with the Profits post-match. I said it last week, and I'm going to reiterate it this week on the Profits, and I'll let you guys take it from whatever you guys want to discuss. As the Bloodline storyline and the Bloodline as a faction is going south, we're slowly seeing, I'll call them Hurt Business 2.0, making an ascension to it's a mid-card story now, but ultimately I think it would go to the top of the card once Roman Reigns goes away. Bobby Lashley seems like he's poised as the next guy of SmackDown, or one of the next guys of SmackDown. I like how they're slow playing both, as we're seeing one faction on the rise as the other faction goes down. Go ahead, Threeber.
Yeah, man, Bobby Lashley came out. He was looking good in that suit, and then he started hugging those dudes and just had a match. I'm like, you're gonna mess up that suit. Those dudes are so sweaty. What are you doing? Yeah,
that's a high five, man. You're supposed to be hugging him.
Yeah. That's a bump elbow.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, what's up, player? It's COVID time.
Yeah, no, he was looking good. Like, I'm not into that whole tuck and bull situation, but I mean, if Tara was into it, I don't know, Bobby Lashley would be the guy.
You ain't shit.
He's looking good. Anyway, I'm joking. Anyway, now I'm into that faction. That's cool. I don't know if they're. I don't know. I don't want people to call them the Hurt Business, because I feel like anytime, there's just three black dudes standing near each other in WWE, or it's is this the new Hurt Business? So they can be something else, right?
No doubt.
But Street Profits as heels, that's great. It gives them new dynamics in their character, and I like the new finisher. That was fun. They're great wrestlers, so I'm into it. And then I'm kind of I'm happy for Io, but I'd rather just have Io have a feud with somebody. It doesn't seem like she's the star of the situation. It doesn't seem like she's the focal point, even though she's the champion, and I hate that. It's just too many cooks in that situation. So just give her a feud, let her beat somebody clean, and also, like you said, with the rematch thing on the U.S. title, I don't know why we didn't just revoke a rematch clause. It's because we had to beat LA Knight again, because that's how you get people over. You pin them, right? That's how that works. That's what they think. So I couldn't believe it. He lost, but it makes sense because they don't want to have LA Knight face Ray, but just don't make the match even. Just like you said, just have them do a rematch, and that's fine. Yeah, it just doesn't seem like you should be beating LA Knight right now, but it is what it is.
Speaking of Damage Control, they jump Bianca backstage, so that might be the feud that you might be hoping for. Bianca versus Io feels like it's next up. We talked about the Profits. Paul Heyman saying that Jimmy will be back next week, and then obviously we had Sheamus and Edge closing the show. Jumping over to Raw, we had the return of KO. So KO and Sammy return. I believe this was in Quebec, if I'm not mistaken. So it was cool to
Quebec City.
Cool to see Sammy, KO speaking French to the Quebec crowd. Quebec was on one on Monday night. They was on some shit. They made that shit fun. They Cammy and KO beat down Judgment Day to set up a tag team match later on, but Judgment Day needs to figure out who their tag team partners are. We'll jump to that in a second. More, as far as I'm concerned, seeds of a possible heel turn for Drew McIntyre as he and Riddle lose to the New Day. Drew wasn't necessarily down to be with Riddle to begin with, and now they've taken the L. Backstage later on, New Day says that they want to run this back at some later point, but they have business with the Viking Raiders who came out and beat them down, yada, yada, yada. All this leads to me to think that Drew McIntyre at some point is going to be tagging with Riddle and either just leave him in the win or beat him down post-match, neither here nor there. Ultimately, like I said, I think this is Drew McIntyre with a slow heel turn. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, as an overall thought, I kind of was outside when you guys, or I was inside when you guys were talking about the end of SmackDown. But just in general, if you look at the way that they are telling that McIntyre story, if you look at the way that they're doing the new Street Profits, if you look at the way that they are doing Gable and Gunther, I don't know if you can attribute this to Triple H being in charge or they've learned lessons from how well the Bloodline thing has gone, but they are taking their time telling these stories. They are actually telling stories on mid-card shit that doesn't have anything to do with belts in terms of McIntyre and Riddle, basically, and the Street Profits, and the Gunther Gable thing has been really fun. I was a big fan of I'm a fan of what they're doing with McIntyre, and I'm looking forward to what happens when he eventually flips, because it looks like the check's in the mail. Zach, what did you think?
Sorry, my kids were asking me for cookies. It's like such a
Hey, man, you ain't feed them?
good thing to do. I know I fed them, but then they're like, "When we get these cookies," and they were holding up this box of cookies that Tara bought. I was like, "I don't want that smoke." I was like, "You gotta wait till she gets home and ask her about that situation."
Pro shit. It's pro shit.
So yeah, I missed the thing you were talking about.
I was just commending WWE overall about how patiently they're telling stories, even mid-card stories. I'm just appreciation.
I agree. I've been enjoying. I watch like SmackDown and Raw like every week now, and I'm enjoying the shows. I think I enjoy the Raw show because it is the hour-and-a-half Hulu version that helps speed things up. With the Drew heel turn, I do want them to not linger on that too long, though. I feel like that should be like a 3-week thing. Like, he goes out there with Riddle for a few weeks, and then I feel like, by Payback or Backlash or whatever, Backdab, Jack, Patty Whack, Give a Dog a Bone, whatever it's called, they should be turned.
Jason, what's next? Gunther Gable.
Shayna had a little vignette or whatever, but Gunther Gable was next. I was kind of surprised that they made this match on Raw, but they made up for it a little bit in the way that kind of makes sense. Chad Gable wins by count out, so he gets the dub. First loss for Gunther since coming to the main roster. I think they said it was like a year and a half. I was like, God damn, but quietly Gunther has been doing his business. We just been more focused about this Intercontinental run, at least I have, versus the overall run of Gunther since he's come to the main roster. Neither here nor there. I thought this is a really smart way to get this match, since you gave it to us on Raw, which was a really good match. Now you made it a smart way to now Chad Gable can get the rematch. It'll be on Payback, I would assume, the rematch there. And then that's where I would assume Gunther beats Chad Gable to break the record of the Honky Tonk Man at some later point, I believe after the fact. But I thought this match was good. And like I said, this was a smart way to get the mission accomplished, especially if you're going to do that match on Raw versus waiting for Payback.
They can still play up the fact that Gunther's never been pinned or submitted on the main roster. It gives Gable a nice little bump. This guarantees that Gable is not going to win the B for next year for most underused wrestler in the business.
That means you're just going to have to
that's the Chad
You're
Gable
going to have to do a
award.
little work this year to find somebody.
I'm going to have to think of something before the podcast.
Okay,
just do a little bit of research.
Hey, guess what? You got a few weeks to figure that out. We're ways away from
Zach,
the beef.
what did you think about Gable beating Gunther?
I was surprised that they did it that way. I thought it was definitely fun, something different. He did. I thought, in one sense, it seems kayfabe silly to have the guy celebrate not winning the title, but then if you think about it, Gunther is such a dominant champion that even just getting a win is a win, and
And Gable's also kind of nerdy.
Yeah. And they had a good match, which makes sense. Like, you see that pairing and you're like, oh yeah, you're just rubbing your hands together. And that's a fun match for TV. And that, that's something, giving them a little time. Again, that's like a Triple H thing, right? That pairing of that match and, giving them a little time. So
Gunther also works best with guys about that size. So very cool pairing.
Totally.
And I'm looking forward to the Payback match.
One of the highlights of Raw and WWE programming this week, I thought, was the Shinsuke Nakamura vignette. This is the Shinsuke Nakamura I wish we'd have seen when he won the Rumble, when he flipped heel.
He's been at WWE for 7 years.
Especially when he flipped heel the first time, and instead of having a dick kickoff between AJ Styles, I wish the Nakamura I would have seen to really get me invested in that heel run. They changed the music, but the antics essentially were still the same. I wasn't really high on Shinsuke Seth until I saw this vignette. And now, even though I still think Seth is going to win this ultimately, I'm much more invested in this bad boy now. It at least gives Nakamura character, depth to his heel run, and it shows Seth has vulnerability, and Seth, acknowledge that vulnerability. So now you have a champion that is a broken champion. I love the fact that, Seth has admitted the vulnerability, and Shinsuke feels like he might take advantage of said vulnerability. Watch Your Back, I thought, was an amazing way to cap off the vignette. It was very well done. Subtitles, I don't understand that shit. I mean, goddamn, we can all read, Vince. I mean, fuck. Let that man speak his fucking language.
You stole it from me.
I thought that was
so simple.
Yeah, just let that
subtitles.
man speak.
Yeah, I know.
I'm reading this shit, and I wasn't even looking at Shinsuke. I'm reading what the fuck was being said.
You're not looking
and I was
at your
like,
phone.
Okay.
Because you got to read it.
Yeah,
Zach, what do you think about Shinsuke vignette?
Oh yeah, it was really well done. It was probably the best thing on the whole show.
Yeah, it fucking ruled.
Rhea basically squashes Candice LeRae, but Raquel Rodriguez comes out now healthy. She beats down Rhea on Monday and then comes in on Tuesday for Heat Wave. They fight again, so Raquel basically is set up for Payback. If it's not official, like Adam Pearce says, it probably will be next week. Ciampa with a fairly interesting vignette, or not vignette, but promo. Go ahead.
Can I say something about the Raquel Rodriguez of it all. It is. I wish it was Candice LeRae versus Rhea Ripley instead. Raquel Rodriguez really doesn't do it for me as a heel or a baby face. I don't think she's got it. What do you think, Zach?
Yeah, I agree. This is just a little bit of a bump in the road for Rhea. Like, I know that she seems more formidable because she's more like Rhea's size, but she hasn't been presented as much of a singles competitor. It just seems like, and not that Candice LeRae has either. And also, but Candice LeRae, I know, is a really good wrestler, so that actually makes me more interested in the match. Yeah, I'm not interested in this feud.
So Ciampa has his vignette.
Short but close but no cigar, I guess, is the story for this promo or vignette, whatever you want to call it.
They gave him a vignette, though.
They gave him a vignette. Do it yourself was one of the things that I caught from Ciampa, so it made me think. I haven't seen Johnny Gargano. Maybe they pair back up, do a tag team run.
I like that. I don't know why I haven't thought of that.
It was the first. Once he said, "Do it,"
that makes so much
he was
sense.
like, "Maybe I got to do it, but do it yourself."
I would love to.
And I was like, "What?"
DIY versus KO and Sammy for the belts. Now we're talking.
You said it. I was thinking it. Miz comes out to face someone that he claims that is a bigger threat than LA Knight ever has. Akira Tozawa comes out. LA Knight comes out on commentary. And obviously, you know how this one ends. Tozawa beats Miz. God bless Miz. He puts everybody over. Once his time comes to the Hall of Fame, he better just get it on principle alone. God damn it. Becky and Trish sets up a match the week before. Zoe Stark and Becky, I believe it's not a holds barred, but falls count anywhere. You see how invested I am in this. I'm so ready to get this one over with. I'll let you guys speak on that. Piper and Candice is the next segment from that point, but neither here nor there.
Sorry, what were you asking me about?
Becky and Trish.
Oh, man, this was a bad segment. Ooh, buddy. Trish Stratus looked shook.
Quebec was on that ass.
Yeah, they really were. She looked shook. What'd you think about it, Zach?
Yeah, not good. I'm just ready for this to end. It seems like it's been going forever, and I don't give a shit about it at all.
Mind your own business, Dad.
Well played. No, that was like, what the fuck was that? Hey, man, that was Roadhouse. What the fuck?
That's a new drop.
Okay.
Terry Funk. Mind your business, Dad.
Yeah, you sucking punched a motherfucker on that shit. Okay. Yeah, they ain't tell the motherfucker.
I forgot I had the drop.
So I say, hey, tell the motherfucker, you're just ignorant ass.
I've been waiting to use it for like 5 minutes.
That's funny shit. I meant to say Chelsea and Piper instead of Candice. They have a match, tag team match versus Kitana Chance and Kaden Carter. Basically squash match, retaining for the champs. Seth has his promo basically admitting the fact that he is broken, but he's ready to meet Nakamura next week to see what other mind games he has. We'll talk about that. And then we had a 2-in-1 match to finish the show. Rhea picks, Finn and Damian Priest to represent the Judgment Day. They face KO and Sammy. If I'm not mistaken, KO hits one of the Judgment Day's members with the briefcase. All chaos breaks loose. You know, now at this point, you have Dom in the ring. Cody comes in, and then at the end, Adam Pearce makes this a 6-man tag to where now the baby faces win the 6-man tag, where you have more Judgment Day dissension leading into the loss. So essentially you had two different WWE shows. To me, SmackDown was more so along the lines of still Bloodline, but Edge was the biggest point of reference for SmackDown, and Monday night was Judgment Day littered from top to bottom.
Zach, any thoughts on the last few segments?
Yeah, I thought it was weird that they, just did like the immediate DQ and then had Cody come down. I feel like maybe just advertising Cody Rhodes in the main event would be a smarter move.
Well, the story they were telling the entire show was who are the two guys that are going to be in the Judgment Day, and it just ended up being exactly what you thought it was going to be. And then they just all ended up in the match.
Yeah, that's what I mean, because I feel like we didn't need – that didn't have to be the dissension, right? They could have come up with some other thing for them to argue about if they wanted to. Again, they don't have to argue every weekend or every week, right? You know?
Right.
So, yeah. But otherwise, like, it was whatever.
Pretty good 2 episodes of television.
I didn't feel like my 5 hours were wasted. I thought NXT was solid too. So yeah, it was a good week for WWE all around.
Let's get to that. 2 counts.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, I should have used it when it was like when the kids were like eating the cookies and Zach was like, I don't want that smoke. And they'd be like,
Mind your own business, Dad.
that's when I should have used it. 2 Beer, what's a 2 count?
That would have been perfect.
Yeah, that was that'd been the alley-oop.
I wasn't thinking about it.
No, that's fine.
2 count, we can talk about AEW. There's kind of we're going to be talking about it more later, so maybe we'll do a little bit more of an abbreviated bit. But I do want to bring up the curtain jerker on Rampage, Ray Phoenix versus Commander. If you have not seen that match, go out of your way to see it. It was exactly what you would think it was. It was awesome. Just 2 dudes just putting it out there, flipping and flying, and gave Phoenix an opportunity to go over, which he doesn't normally. Normally Phoenix loses these matches. But Commander was in the Phoenix spot. Did you guys see this?
I did see this, and you are correct. It was exactly what if you know of both guys, then you could just imagine, if you haven't seen the match, what it was all about. But yeah, I saw it. It was great. But I like Phoenix's style. If you don't like Phoenix's style, then you just don't even bother to watch.
Man, Ray Phoenix is one of the funnest wrestlers in the world.
I agree.
And he wrestles on television all the fucking time, and we don't deserve him. He is that cool. That's how much I like watching Ray Phoenix matches. Every time when I watch him and I really pay attention, I'm always like, man, he's one of my favorite out there. Like, seriously, one of my top 5 favorite wrestlers in the world right now. But yeah, I watched the match. The match was very fucking good. Loved it.
Yeah, if I had that AEW video game, I feel like, especially if I was a kid, I'd be playing Ray Phoenix every time. Like, I'd be maining Ray Phoenix.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, then we had a Collision episode that was kind of like last week in the sense that it was mostly squash matches with a good main event. But it opened up, this is really funny to me, opened up Samoa Joe versus the Golden Vampire, which never started because it actually turns out the Golden Vampire CM Punk. And he beats down Joe beforehand, gives him a terrible looking go to sleep. But in kayfabe, I just think it's funny. Like, all right, Joe, we got an opponent for your, King of Television. Hey, we got an opponent for you. It's the Golden Vampire. And he's just like, okay. You know what I mean?
Not a fan of this. I'm sorry. Call me what you want. And it's not because I don't like Punk. It was, just you see it coming, right? I was like, what the fuck is this? Dude, no, this is Punk. And immediately, when he did the running knee in the corner, I'm like, son of a bitch.
Man, I'll tell you what, Punk in that costume made you realize that there are not dudes his size in costumes like that anymore. He looked massive. He looked like when he was up, I was like, I didn't realize that it was going to be, at first I thought it was Goldust. I was like in the other room. I was like, what the fuck is going on in there? And I was like, oh, that's a really big guy. And like, I thought it was like fucking Lars Sullivan or some shit. I think
you pulled that one out your ass.
He looked huge, but I mean, really, you just see guys in outfits like that, like luchadors and shit. They're just little guys. I don't know. I like this segment. I thought it was fucking cool. I think the Golden Vampire is a perfectly funny name. It's not stupid funny. It's actually funny, and I didn't mind the angle at all.
Right on. What happened, and more set up towards the All-In. Then we had my favorite thing on the show, which is Jay White versus Dalton Castle. This was awesome. What perfect opponents for each other, because they couldn't be more different, but they're both so great at pro wrestling. I really love this. Of course, Jay White won, as he should. But this kind of like segued into Bullet Club Gold, calling out, the Elite and saying they wanted a warm-up match. And we ended up getting a couple dudes. So we had Juice Robinson and the Guns. And this was like the repackaged, what do they used to be called?
Bear Country.
Yeah. So we have, these are just.
Bear Country's a better name.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the Iron Savages.
Bear Country's better. Bear Country's better than Iron Savages, but the names Bronson, Boulder, and Jack Jameson, those are real good.
I forgot that dude's name is Jacked.
It's not Jack, it's Jack.
That's really funny.
I love it. Then
I'm getting an Iron Savages shirt now. I really like that.
But I feel like even, it got them some TV time, but at the same time, like, I don't want Bear Country or, Jack Jameson. I don't want them out here losing to the Guns. I want them out there, like, throwing dudes around and shit. Like, have them have a squash match against some other nerd.
Right.
But
I want you guys to call me Boulder Vagey from now on.
Dude, I'm down. No, I'm down.
Call me Boulder Vagey.
I flat out refuse. I'm putting my foot down. I will not do that.
Well, it's good because you don't even have to change like your monogram vowels or anything.
That's right. Yeah. My first name's still William.
Right.
Oh yes, William. Sorry. Call you Wolder. Anyway.
Man, now we're talking.
What else do we have going on here? Ricky Starks. This is like one of my favorite ways of like backtracking. So basically, I'm assuming that they want him to wrestle at All Out, but they realized that they couldn't do that if his suspension was for 30 days. So rather, it was 4 weeks. So he's like, "Yeah, Tony Schiavone, you're out here spreading misinformation because you're an idiot." And I was like, "Oh man, like what a way like to like kayfabe like adjust the suspension." So that was pretty funny to me. But then he went out with Big Bill had a squash match against Derek Neal, who Kevin Kelly was like, Derek Neal has won championships all over the country. And I was like, I don't know if he has.
I should have cage matched that shit. I was about to say, you said that? I'm like, what? I want to go ahead and get you slide on this, Kevin Kelly, because I don't know about this. But yeah, go ahead.
But Sting and Darby Allin apparently went to AR Fox's wrestling school. And there's like, this is fucking insane to me. There's like 40 people in a wrestling ring in a garage. It's like a small indie promotion, and fucking Sting is there. And apparently, this is something that I saw online. Apparently, at the wrestling school, Sting got booed because he came in to beat AR Fox. Because it was AR Fox's wrestling promotion. He said he's so over there. They booed Sting when he beat him up.
That's great.
That's what I'm talking about. Keeping kayfabe alive.
Can you imagine just like being at like South Broadway Athletic Club and like Sting comes out for an angle?
And he gets booed. What the fuck, dude? Hold up.
Dude, I'd boo him.
I know you would.
See Brandon Cutler with a video camera, and you're like, what the fuck's gonna happen? Sting.
What Sting was he?
Nah, he was just the current Sting. He wasn't Surfer Sting or Joker Sting or. Yeah.
Like, does he do like a Bugs Bunny too or anything?
God damn, dude. That's horrible.
Willow Nightingale beat Diamante. Really the main reason to talk about this is it was one of the better pounces I've ever seen from Willow Nightingale. Like Diamante like jumped up and flipped upside down into the guardrail. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, she smoked that poor girl.
Yeah, Yeah, and then we had. So here's the thing: I thought FTR was going to be on the show because they're like, we're going to hear from FTR, and I was like, oh shit! I was like, worried about the whole Wembley thing because Cash Wheeler's out there pointing guns at people, road raging on the highway, and oh shit! I was like, it'd be like Cash Wheeler addresses his enemies or something or whatever. Like, so he's not going to be at Wembley, but just a video package. I really like Toni Storm's old Hollywood look she's got going on. It seems like since she lost the title, she's having like an identity crisis and a nervous breakdown. But like she's just like embracing like this cabaret vaudeville situation. I like it a lot. I'm not gonna lie.
I'd like to speak to all the road ragers out there because I myself have been known to dabble in the road rage. And I just want to remind you all that before you pull that gun out because you're pissed off at somebody for cutting in front of you or cutting you off or something, just remember that nobody looks stupider. Nobody looks more stupid than somebody in the middle of road rage. Nobody. You're just in your car screaming like a mad person. Don't do it. Take some deep breaths. Listen to some Pantera. Let it slide.
I refuse to engage.
I was about to say Pantera. I don't know is the one you should be listening to, but yeah,
it'll get it out for you. Talking about being cathartic. I guess it could be seen as like a pump up song. Like I'm gonna go fuck this dude up.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking. You might want to go ahead and maybe shelve that one for a little bit.
I feel a conquering will down inside me.
Okay, honey, he's getting out of the car. What?
I think Pantera is actually the official soundtrack of Road Rage, really. We had Miro cut a promo on the video screen on Hobbs after his squash match. And again, the only reason I'm mentioning this is because Miro said that he would piss on Hobbs' cold, dead body. He's fucking aggressive. Oh, God.
Miro's atheist gimmick is working for me.
I just want to see more Miro. That's all. Ultimately, I don't care how you do it.
I love a wrestler walking around saying, I serve no gods. I love that shit.
That's pretty good. Is he a divorced atheist? I know he's not actually divorced, but he seems like he's like, I used to have a book. I used to have a wife.
Yeah, he said he doesn't answer her anymore.
Mm-mm.
Wow.
Like he has said that mid-promo. He fucking rules.
Okay.
Yeah. He talks about his wife like every promo. We've never seen her. Like we all know who she is. But
right.
We've never seen her.
Nope.
Then we had an awesome main event. We had Darby Allin beat Christian Cage. This thing was nuts. I mean, Darby Allin's an insane person. He did this coffin splash, like
that coffin drop onto
rope.
the apron was rough looking.
It was.
I left out of the chair. I was just like, oh,
dude.
Yeah, I had to do a walk. I had to walk a lap.
I didn't even pop. I was just concerned.
No, I had to walk a lap for him, man. I was like, that looks brutal, dude. This is too early.
Absolutely brutal.
Yeah. But he got the pin, and then they got the heat right back on Christian because they had Luchasaurus come in and start beating the shit out of him. Do the choke slam and everything, and had Tony Schiavone count the 3. And so Luchasaurus does this thing where he puts Christian Cage on his shoulders, and Christian holds the belt up. And I gotta think that eventually, one of these times, Luchasaurus is just gonna backdrop him for the babyface turn.
Yeah, I mean, I wish they'd. Maybe, I guess he's been a heel for a while. It really feels like they flip him all the time. He's the big show of AEW, right? Luchasaurus?
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say, started as babyface, this is his heel run. I mean, you can flip him back if you want to. Ultimately, you could see just by the tone of where I'm going with this, I could care less what you did with Luchasaurus. He's mid-card, and that's fine. You need guys in those spots, but a babyface turn would not make me look at Luchasaurus and be like, ooh, he's more interesting. It would just make me root for Christian even more.
I'll tell you what was interesting was that really long rant that Jim Ross went on comparing Darby Allin to Allen Iverson.
I totally missed this.
It felt like it went on for a minute. It felt like all of a sudden he's talking about how Allen Iverson used to get more points in the paint because he was the only guy that was really little and not scared to go inside.
Yeah, okay.
Like he wasn't
that.
breaking it down like Hubie Brown or something,
Right.
but he was definitely like JR watching some NBA.
Yeah,
It sounded
not JR-esque, if you will.
No, it was very surprising. I was like, what the hell is he talking about? Does he have dementia? Anyway, I love this match. Like I said last week, Christian Cage doing work.
He was doing work on Wednesday.
Dynamite, too.
Yes, he was.
Oh, my God, damn.
Yes, he was.
It's a good segue. We opened the Go Home show to All In. The Go Home Dynamite, I should say, to All In. With we had the Elite come out and they were gonna wrestle the Guns, and I was like, oh shit! I'm like, this is like popping off, and then it just never happened. It was just like crazy beat down. Rick Max like took a bump like immediately, and I was like, oh fuck!
Right? I was like, God damn it! Like this fucking match ain't even gonna happen. Shit!
Ended up leading to FTR coming out and kind of cranking up to All In, but it's kind of a crazy way to start the show.
But here's the problem with that, though. This has been their MO, and we were talking about it last week. What, 7 segments in some form or fashion with somebody getting beat down to lead to the match? At least I can't believe I'm going to say this out loud. At least in TK's defense on this one, this match was set. This was a build, to 2 matches. The Elite, Jay White, Juice, and Takeshita. Well, not the Elite, but better choice of words. Omega, Page, and Kota Ibushi versus Takeshita.
Golden Elite.
Yeah, Golden Elite. And then, obviously, on the other side, Bucks and FTR. So, at least this week, this segment actually was building towards matches versus last week was basically, boom, this is what happens, so we're going to have the match. Boom, this is what's going to happen.
Matches.
Right.
Crazy brawl. Then we had Renee Paquette backstage with MJF. Renee Paquette was the MVP of this episode of AEW Dynamite.
She was the main
all
character.
over it.
She's the connecting weave throughout this show.
Yeah.
She was so good in every segment, and she really elevated the show, which is not normally the role that the backstage interviewer is placed in. She's just really good at her job. But we had MJF, and man, this was like, I love these MJF promos where he's just talking like a normal person, and as much as like a normal person as MJF can actually be. Some of the lines that he said, where he's just like, he's the 2023 version of the British Bulldog, if the British Bulldog was Jewish and a good public speaker, like just fucking random. But he's just talking like a normal person, and he just does the absolute babyface of all babyface promos. As much as MJF can be, he still called Tony Khan a mark, and he's throwing around some insider terms, but just came off like the most likable dude, and you just felt bad for him. What did you guys think of this?
I'm surprised to say this. I do not want MJF to flip back to heel. I think that he is an incredible babyface. And for some of the reasons that Zach just said. He still called Tony Khan a mark. He still makes jokes that are kind of inappropriate. He's still a dick. But he's a very, very likable dick. He's our dick. Isn't that what he called it? He said, I'm going to be your scumbag?
Yeah, he's like, I'm not just a scumbag. I'm your scumbag.
Yeah, the character really works for him. I really hope that it's Adam Cole that turns. I'll have more thoughts about that later. Jason, what do you think?
No, I was thinking the same thing, that as this went along, and then obviously we'll talk about Adam Cole in a second, I was thinking to myself, MJF is really, both guys are for that fact. One, they're making it hard to figure out who's going to win this match. They're making it hard to figure out who's going to turn. Then long term, just on the MJF part of it, I think that this run just solidifies him as one of the better, if not one of the top tier wrestlers, professional wrestlers in the world. And it's not all just what he does in the ring. This character work is some shit that WWE should be salivating over. And I'm sure that they are at this point. So, I mean, the bidding war of 2024 just got a little more interesting. We'll talk about somebody else throwing contract out here in a little bit as well. But I thought this was really well done. And I'll just say this. It's hard not to like Max at this moment.
Yeah, another example of long-term storytelling. And, the bar isn't high. This is like a 2-month story at this time. Just tell us stories and we'll be into it. I mean,
and also give people what they want. Don't just intentionally swerve them just to swerve them. People are into it.
Yeah, for sure.
Let it happen.
Yep.
We had Moxley and Phoenix. So Phoenix has his second awesome match in a week. And this match was great. I mean, no surprise, just whenever you think about the two dudes. But, man, I was very much into this. The fans were super into this. Moxley gave Phoenix a, second rope, Death Rider, and he kicked out of it. That was fucking awesome. But eventually he gets the win. And then, of course, the real kind of meat and potatoes of this was after the match. So, of course, they do the beatdown. Claudio and Wheeler get in the ring. But this time they have a crowbar. And Eddie Kingston and Penta come out. They're stopped by Ortiz, who's, swinging a loaded sock. And then we had the music hit and Santana came out, so he's back after more than a year. He's been out on the shelf for a long time. And crowd goes nuts. Ortiz smacks Kingston with the sock. Santana runs down, starts fighting with Penta. And then Wheeler takes a crowbar to Phoenix's head. So this is basically just writing Phoenix out because he cannot travel to the UK because of visa issues. And so Santana and Ortiz are going to be the extra dudes for the Blackpool Combat Club side of Stadium Stampede. They are seasoned in the Stadium Stampede match. It's a good get. It's a fun return. Good for Santana. I guess they're going to be working together. I know that there was heat there. Maybe there still is. I was reading about that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Don't they not like each other?
Yeah, and I think there was heat because Ortiz, there was a possibility for them to go to WWE, but WWE only wanted them together, and Ortiz didn't want to go because he liked the company and he liked the dates, those fewer dates and the more flexibility and stuff. And Santana wanted to go to WWE, but he couldn't go without Ortiz.
If you saw them at Six Flags, would you know which one was which if they were standing right next to each other?
I would. I'm not saying, though, that I would recognize them as who they are, though. They don't really come off as stars, but if I know what he looks like.
Jason, can you tell them apart?
Yeah, I think that's an easy, I guess, lineup, so to speak. And I've been watching Law and Order lately, so we'll go with lineup.
Dum-dum.
I wasn't sure how it was going to.
It just said executive produced by Dick Wolf.
I wasn't sure how, because I knew that Phoenix was going to get written off. I was like, okay, how we're going to do it. Crowbar to the face. Okay, fair enough. That feels like something Blackpool Combat Club would do just because they're general badasses and don't give two fucks about anybody that's not named Blackpool Combat Club. So, okay, check mark there. Now the run-in where Ortiz comes out, kind of knew that was going to happen, wasn't sure about Santana. The Santana part is a surprise. I guess doing business, getting a check can put, some hurt feelings aside. I know me, I like money enough where I don't necessarily like my day job, but I like the money enough to where I don't have to fucking talk to you jokers, come in, do what I need to do, and dip. So in that scenario, maybe it's you know, I don't necessarily like you because we didn't go to WWE, but business is business. This makes business sense. We'll see what it means long term, past All In, if Santana or Ortiz are going to be a part of BCC or not. My guess is no, but we'll see what happens.
Man, I kind of forgot that they existed. I completely forgot about them. I kind of popped for this. I was like, fuck,
well, Santana has been.
Like, oh, that's cool.
Santana got hurt in that that blood and guts match really, really early. I guess not this year, but 23. It was real early. It was like within the first 5 minutes. He busted his knee up, and the inner circle side was short, running from that point on. So he had been out for an extended period of time. In that spot, Ortiz was having this feud, well, not even a feud, but just tension with Eddie Kingston. So, and that was all on Rampage.
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay.
I remember that.
So now, I had to stop and think about it, I was like, wait a minute. This
like a year ago? Like a full year ago?
I don't know, because I was going to say, let's just say 6 months ago.
I think
It
Ortiz
had to be longer ago than
smoked.
that.
I think Ortiz smoked Kingston's last Newport.
Yeah, that's
Kingston does seem like a Newport smoker.
Yeah, I would be a little pissed off too. You didn't give me a pack. Yeah, that's grounds to get your ass whooped. So, connected the dots. I guess that makes sense, especially with Ortiz.
I think Santana and Ortiz smoke like Benson and Hedges or something.
Or did they even make Benson? Are you okay? A, you're showing your age, and B, do they even make them anymore?
That's a great question. I don't know. I've never even thought about it.
I'm saying you showing your age on that one.
I worked at a 7-Eleven in 1996.
Okay, Benson Hedges were around in 1996.
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry, 3-Beer, we're hijacking your shit. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. And then, again, Renee Paquette, fantastic performance here. And also,
this was the best part of the segment. It was compelling.
Yeah. They're in the back, and they're loading Phoenix into an ambulance, and Kingston is distraught. And Renee Paquette comes up to get his thoughts, and he's like, "Oh, you?" He's like, "You're gonna put a microphone in my face." He's like, "You see what your husband just did?" He's like, "You want me to fix it?" And she's just like, taken aback that he's taking it out on her. And she's like, "No, I don't want you to fix it." And he hits the microphone. He walks away. It was awesome, so good.
Yeah, it was good. Jason,
fix.
You know what? You know what Renee should have said to him?
Mind your own business, Dad.
Shoved him in the mic with dipped and shit. That's the question. What is Eddie supposed to fix? What is the problem with him and John that seemingly is so unfixable that Renee now has urged Kingston to make this shit right? Is it going to come ahead at All In, or we have to wait a week for All Out? We'll see what happens. But I will say that this segment, even though Stadium Stampede is going to be a absolute shit show,
dude,
I'm now wondering, what is Eddie supposed to fix?
I mean, he told us he stopped drinking alcohol, and all he drinks now is blood. I mean, he told us.
there were gonna be consequences to that decision.
Yeah, exactly. But then we had Renee with Sammy. Just kind of ongoing that storyline. Nothing major to really talk about there, unless you guys have anything. But I want to get on to the Jericho Ospreay thing, because, man, I gotta say, I was groaning and I was kicking dirt and I was shuffling my feet and I was like hanging my head, because I'm like, Jesus Christ, for all the people on the planet Will Ospreay can face in front of 80,000 people at Wembley, it's going to be Chris Jericho. And then they had this segment, and it was fucking awesome. Like, Will Ospreay, I won't say it was his best promo, because, man, the promo he cut on Kenny Omega before their Japanese match, and some of the other stuff he's done, New Japan and the press conferences, has been phenomenal. This was him to an American audience, though. This was like kind of his first exposure of getting into a real, actual promo in front of an American audience, a large American audience, and boy, did he hit it out of the park. Jericho fired back. This was phenomenal, and now I am stoked for this match. Like, this did more for their match than any other segment did for any of the other matches. Maybe I think that way because I just wasn't in the match before, and now I really am now. But this was awesome.
Jason.
I'm always, I guess, taken aback when you say, well, not you, but people say, just for example, Jay White's not a superstar, or Will Ospreay can't talk, or things along those lines. As a New Japan fan, I see a lot of them. So for me, when I hear stuff like that, I'm taken aback. I guess that's the best choice of words. Will Ospreay here, I thought, was on a different level, where he appealed to people on a personal level, and both guys made it where this match has no titles, no nothing, but they both explained it, why it's important to them. For Will, it's going to change his life. I got stepson to feed. I got a contract coming up in 6 months. I got a chance to beat Omega, Okada, and Jericho within a span of months. I can go to this next plateau. Jericho, guy that's been around, but this is going to be the biggest show he's ever, been a part of. So it means something to him. You don't think he's going to come. So both guys, built the match up to now. If you weren't feeling it like you were last week, like Zach was, hopefully you were jumping on board. For me, I thought Will Ospreay was what he was. For me, that wasn't the surprise. It was just what he said. That was the surprise. The content was the surprise. It wasn't the intensity, because I'm used to seeing that. Jericho firing back, I thought, was just as good. And now you have a match where it's going to be real interesting to see how this one plays itself out.
I'm going to do my Simon Cowell impression right now, okay?
Okay.
I didn't like this segment.
Whoa.
I loved it.
I was like, wait for it. Wait for it.
Oh, my God.
That's my Simon Cowell impression. This was the segment of the week. I was same way. Last week, I was saying, man, this is a letdown. And it just seemed obvious to me that this is a letdown. And this segment sold me. I was like, wow, that's how you sell a fucking match. This was a really good go-home show for a big show, I thought. And this segment was a huge part of that, if not the main part of it, because now I am psyched to see this match. And I think that there's a wide range of how this match could end up, and it depends on what kind of match they decide to have. I hope that Jericho doesn't try to keep up with Will Ospreay, and I hope that Will Ospreay has one of his certified banger matches, like not a high spot match, but a really fun, beater.
Jericho making announcing that he called Will Ospreay, like, hey, you got to tone this shit down,
Tremendous.
otherwise you're not going to make...
Tremendous.
It all
what it
just...
reminded me of? It reminded me of that MJF Regal segment that happened last year when they brought real shit into
Right.
it. It was kind of like that. It was compelling, and both guys were tremendous at what they were doing. I loved it.
No, it's rare. I won't say it's rare, but it's great when both guys in a promo battle can step up their game and it feels equal, where not one guy is overshining the other.
Will Ospreay, I know how he's feeling, right when you kick your head back and you're taking it in and you get the drip, and man, you're just ready to fucking go. You don't care if your hat looks stupid. You don't care if you say bruv 50 fucking times.
Dude, he was hot.
Yeah.
He was hot.
I mean, I've seen movies where they do stuff like that, and
yeah, obviously.
You know what I mean.
No personal frame of reference.
No, I'm just a cinephile.
Yeah, as soon as I get that drain, I'm like, oi, bro.
Are you kidding me, bro?
Boy, he was hot.
he even got a plug in for his match the night before, which is awesome. I'm going to be buying that. He's main eventing Rev Pro against Shingo.
Yes.
They've never had less than a 5-star match.
They're doing that the night before?
The night before, yeah.
Holy shit, yeah.
God bless that dude.
Yeah. So we got something to watch on Saturday morning and Sunday morning. This is going to be a great weekend. This is like Christmas for nerds.
Yep. I like them.
I mean, nerds can like Christmas too, but
but you know what we're talking
about. So then we had Renee Paquette backstage again, this time with Adam Cole, and contrasting MJF's amazing babyface promo. Here we have pretty much full-blown heel Adam Cole. So they're really telegraphing, or at least, if not telegraphing, at least foreshadowing an Adam Cole heel turn here, because he just flips out on Renee whenever she suggests that he's just leading Max along, whenever she shows him video evidence. Like, it's just like Trump's going to be in the courtroom. They should present him with like video evidence of like the 11 million times that he said that he broke the law, and he's going to be like so mad about it. So, yeah, this is further in the main event angle. Super interesting, and yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think?
No, I agree. It was definitely a night and day promo not promo, but interview. MJF came off as the babyface, and then Adam Cole started off, everything's gravy, blah, blah, blah. But then once Renee started to say, show the quote unquote cracks or whatever the case may be, and then you saw the clips or whatever, I was going to use the word defensive, but yeah, it was way past defensive. I mean, you can't be defensive and storm out like that. I mean, that's, angry at that point, borderline pissed off. So it definitely came across where Adam Cole is not in the right headspace for this particular point to be brought up. I'll save the rest for our prediction point, but yeah, I wasn't sure if I was going to like this because it felt like a lot of promos or a lot of vignettes, interviews or whatever, but all did a job where it built up to a match of significance. And this is the biggest of the bunch, obviously, because this will be the main event. So for me, it's kudos to TK in that scenario. The matches that he wants to highlight, it was long-term storytelling. He's done that. He's done it well. We were worried about if this felt like this was going to be a big enough match. This feels like a big enough match now because you are totally intrigued. At least I am. I'll speak for myself. Like I said, who wins, how they win, the repercussions thereafter. So, I mean, in that scenario, I'll tip my hat to Tony where he's made MJF, Adam Cole, baby, feel like a must-see main event match.
Yeah. So then we had Darby Allin and Nick Wayne. They beat Swerve Strickland and AR Fox. And I was really confused about this because, Wayne beat Fox, which is all like well and good. I was also confused, like, why would you even have this match to begin with? Like, you're going to have a match Saturday or Sunday. It's like a pretty big match. But I listened to Wrestling Observer Radio right before the podcast, and apparently AR Fox cannot travel to the UK, and he did not tell anyone that, or they did not find that out until very recently. So not only is he not on the show, they took him out of the mobile embassy. So seemed a little bit almost like a punishment scenario, because this did not make storyline sense for them to be like so forgiving so fast. But basically that's what happened. And then we've got Christian Cage coming out, and he's going to take the place. So it's going to be Sting and Darby Allin versus Christian Cage and Swerve. Christian cuts a promo on Nick Wayne because that's his favorite pastime, is to cut promos on young kids with dead fathers. And I gotta say, Nick Wayne's mom's using the crowd. She's kind of a smoke show.
Yeah, Nick Wayne's mother is probably my age or maybe a little bit younger, and I gotta say, come find me.
Oh yeah, you got me. I was about to say, I don't know if you did that shit on purpose, but yeah, that almost came out the wrong way, boy. That beer damn near spit out. Good shit.
I don't know what Christian's thing is with making fun of dudes and their dead fathers, but This is like 3 in a row, basically. He did it with Jungle Jack Perry. He had that really weird promo on Arn Anderson. Oh, yeah, Wardlow, too. This is his 4th one.
Yeah.
I mean, Arn, he was talking to the dad, but a dad that just lost his son, and he had Wardlow, too, man. That's his thing.
He's got a feud fetish for like grieving family members.
That's okay.
Man,
it's
an
easy trigger though, and that's what Christian. That's the beauty of this Christian run. As I was watching him just go to town and laughing my monkey ass off as he's doing it.
Oh yeah,
this is the beauty of it. He knows how to get heat. He knows how to do that. That's easy. All you're doing for him is just making it an easier way for him to get heat. What's the one way to piss somebody off is talk about their dead fill in the blank and make fun of it.
Yes.
Really? So this is all you have to do? And Christian is
pretty much the meanest thing you can do.
And Christian's a motherfucking ace on the mic. So you add those two things together, man, this has been an amazing run for Christian.
I just don't know how there's so many guys that he just happens to be in feuds with dead fathers or dead sons. And to keep talking about it. It is insane. It's pretty insane. Anyway, he fucking rules.
He's going to be challenging IRS by next month.
Listen, if Nick Wayne and his mom are cool with that type of promo, then I'm cool with it. They're the only people that matter. So if they're if they're fine with it, then I'm fine with it.
No doubt.
So again, Renee Paquette, she is backstage. She's with Young Bucks and FTR. This is interesting just because it's been babyface this whole time, but the Young Bucks are now kind of like playing heel a little bit, kind of big time in FTR, saying, when they hang up their Jordans, they'll be named the best tag team to ever do it, which I agree with, by the way. And
here you go. Knew you was gonna say some shit like that.
Yeah, and FTR will just be the guys that that the Young Bucks named on their YouTube show, and I was like, that
damn.
Awesome.
I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, that's going to be a good match.
What do you think about the segment, Jason?
It was extremely intriguing because, like Three Beers said, it was a scenario where both sides have been playing nice. FTR wanted to make sure that the Bucks were, at 100% or close to it before the Wembley match. And I was waiting. I'm like, is this going to be a scenario that somebody going to say something? And then as soon as I was thinking that, Nick said the line of, it means more for them than it does for us. We're already made. This is their match. They have to win it. And I was like, oh, okay, now we got heat. And that immediately caught my attention. And I don't necessarily think that it has to be heel versus face. They can roll out as two baby faces, and Wembley's going to eat that shit up. Now you just made it a little more intriguing because now it feels like there's that tension that I won't say it's been missing because this is ultimately a 3-match series. But for this particular match, now you got the tension. It's like any best of 7 series. The longer you play them, the more and more you're going to dislike these motherfuckers. And now you got the tension. So now we have it. This is going to be – we're lucky to even get this match. Let's just put that out there, too.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the match very much. Can't wait. Maybe the match I'm looking forward to the most on the card? I don't know. I'm psyched for this match. Let me just say a few things to Dax Harwood, and I don't know if this is kayfabe style or not. But if you don't want your daughter to keep being brought up by the opponent, you got to stop bringing up your daughter, man. Like, you don't get to bring up your daughter when somebody else is repeating back to you something that doesn't even, it's not derogatory at all. They're just saying you have a daughter. You don't get to be like, don't bring up my daughter, man.
Hashtag
Hey,
facts.
which one of the Young Bucks was the one sitting on the right this time?
Closest to
Matt
was
was
yeah.
Okay, so Matt, by the way, I was looking at them and I was like, I don't know how these people can tell these people apart. I really I was staring at them.
They're not identical twins.
I was staring. They're 5 years apart.
Even
Which
more
one,
so.
Which
to my
one
point.
has the hairline that's further back?
Nick.
That's how I have to know. Nick's got
He
the
usually
further
wears
back.
a
Matt is-
bandana.
Matt
He-
is-
He's still got a Bret Michaels bandana on.
Matt Jackson looks like Matt Hardy.
No,
That's the connection.
No, the hairline thing I get.
Okay. Go with
Anyway,
that.
okay.
We'll test this next week when we talk about the prediction.
I'm gonna do it. So the one sitting closer to Shivani, when he slipped into that Dax Harwood impression, just for like a split second,
Dude, I lost it.
I popped, man. I was like, fuck yeah, Dax Harwood is such a fucking dork. And whichever Jackson it was, I forget which one we said.
It was Matt.
Whenever Matt goes, yeah, we get it, man. You got to feed your family. Like, he did it just a little bit, and it looked like a deep fake. It was such a perfect impression. I popped, man. I watched it like
You're
six
now
times.
All of a sudden, you're like, which one's Dax Harwood?
Anyway, yeah, it was a good segment. I really can't look at FTR like they're baby faces at all. I'm like, man, these guys fucking suck. These guys are dorks. They are people. They are probably the least interesting motherfuckers to talk to in the entire world.
Damn. Okay.
Like you're on the highway.
Oh, damn. You ain't shit.
Anyway, psyched for this match, though. Psyched for it.
We had nothing matches, Ruby Soho and Sky Blue. Don't even know why it happened. It doesn't matter. It didn't have anything to do with all that.
She called her shot out for Chris Statler, and she's going to be next to get fit.
Yeah, I guess maybe we got to do some storylines for the pay-per-view next week.
Maybe, you
Yeah,
think? There is that other pay-per-view.
But Renee Paquette's backstage again. She's with Roderick Strong in the Kingdom. All this was Roderick Strong saying, at the end of All In, we'll see who the true MJF and the true Adam Cole is, planting more seeds. So we can talk about what we think is going to happen in predictions. We had House of Black, video package, and we had the return of Daddy Ass after he was very upset that they destroyed his boots. And, man, he came out to a huge pop, and then they made this match official. It's going to be House of Black versus the Acclaimed and badass Billy Gunn, not Daddy Ass. We're getting the badass Billy Gunn. So, again, we can talk more about what we think is going to happen with that. And then we have the main event.
I just want to say this. I did not expect Billy Gunn to get that kind of pop for such a predictable return. He got a huge.
Oh, yeah, they lost their goddamn minds.
He got a massive pop, which shows how over he is and shows how over the Acclaimed is. Number two, I didn't know he wasn't Badass Billy Gunn anymore. I know they called him Daddy Ass. I always thought that was a nickname. It never occurred to me that his name wasn't Badass Billy Gunn. That's why when he was like,
his checks Daddy Ass for a minute.
That's like when he.
I'm just joking.
But when he goes, Daddy Ass can't make it, but someone you haven't seen for a while can. And I was like, oh, I guess he can't go over there either. So who's it gonna be? And he's like, Badass
Brian James.
Yeah, I was like, oh, so it's Badass Billy Gunn? Oh, okay, yeah, that's fine.
You're about to say, here's my different passport.
Oh, it was gonna be like X-Pac or something.
Yeah, right. Just gonna say, I
Yeah,
just gotta give me that other
would've been
passport.
awesome.
You're fine. Just give me the other passport. Give me the fake one. It's called Badass Billy Gunn. I agree with you. I was a little surprised that Billy Gunn got this much of a pop, but I shouldn't be. Ultimately, the Acclaimed are over. Them as a trio are over. We'll talk about what we think is going to happen. It'll be interesting. I'll say that. I'll leave it at that.
We had the main event, Aussie Open versus the Hardys for the ROH Tag Team titles. This didn't get to go very long, mostly about the end anyway. So Aussie Open beats the Hardys, and then MJF and Adam Cole come out. They do the face-off. I just hope that MJF and or Adam Cole don't get hurt in the very first match of the show. because they're in the last match of the show. That's the main thing there. But anyway, great go-home show.
I don't think that the match. Oh, we'll talk about this. Yeah, great go-home show. I don't have much to say about the end of it.
Just anticlimactic. I thought was the word I was coming up with. God bless the Hardys, but it just felt like they were there to just play the setup to the bigger angle. I'll leave it there.
All right, and that's going to do it for our 3 count. We'll be back with predictions after we take a little Terry Funk pit stop.
1, 2, 3.
So, Terry Funk, legendary wrestler, hardcore wrestler whose career stretched over 6 decades. At the age of 79, passed away this week. Zach, what are your thoughts about Terry Funk in general?
I mean, for me, he's always been like kind of an all-timer. He's always been somebody that might end up on my Mount Rushmore at any given week. Really a wrestler's kind of wrestler. And, you know, like I said, I was born in 1985, and Terry Funk had already retired for the first time before I was born. So whenever I was first introduced to Terry Funk, it was ECW. And it was he was basically the Chris Jericho of ECW. He was the older guy putting the younger guys over, or getting them over, even if he wasn't putting them over. He wasn't always putting them over, but he was getting them over. And he was that guy, you know, even in his earlier career. But, man, he was so good at it. And he was just one of those guys. I sent that article, the short article that Meltzer wrote. I listened to Wrestling Observer Radio, like I said, right before we started. And Dave was actually good friends with him for a long time. And he does whatever you think about Meltzer's opinions and stuff, he does a really good job with his historical stuff and like his obituaries and stuff. And I'm really looking forward to seeing this biography because he knew a ton about Terry Funk. Anyway, Funk was just that dude, and he, you know, could never quit. I don't know if anybody saw the Beyond the Mat. That is something that if you want to kind of grasp like the essence of who Terry Funk is, like that's a good way to do it. But plenty of great matches on there, including his I Quit match versus Ric Flair. A little tidbit of information I found out today was his and Dory Funk Jr.'s match against, can't remember the opponents because I just heard it today, but essentially their match was so good in the All Japan Tag League. Like the final match was so good that they decided to do that tournament every single year, and it's like the longest running tag tournament in wrestling history right now. It still happens every year. Just an absolute legend. And from you know, my time watching him in ECW and then WWF with the Chainsaw Charlie shit, and you know, he was that guy who got his sneakers choke slammed off of him whenever Mick Foley got thrown off the cage in the Hell in a Cell. He was an old man by the time I was watching these. Just an absolute legend. So R.I.P. He was 79 though, and so it was not shocking to hear that he passed.
No, Jason, Terry Funk thoughts.
Knee-jerk reaction is always, without really thinking about it, it's Roadhouse. And this is obviously one of his post wrestling stints. To see him in Roadhouse was just weird, but every time I see him in the movie, it's a memorable scene, one way or the other. You know, it's always something that at the very beginning where, you know, he's clearly not going to be with Dalton on this transition in the middle when he gets his ass kicked, you know, mind your business, Dad.
Mind your own business, Dad.
Thank you very much. That scene as well. Just on the wrestling portion of it, since I'm always made as the oldest guy in the room, even I didn't really see a lot of Terry Funk until he came back for this Ric Flair feud that he had that ended up in this I Quit match. I think it was at Starrcade. I might be wrong. But that was really my first real introduction to Terry Funk. And as a huge Ric Flair fan, of course I'm pissed off that, he put, Rick on the shelf. But him with Gary Hart, they as a combo really got heat on them over the top, where it was just like you saw this, but you didn't really see it the way Terry Funk did it, where, he might go into the stands at any time. Just the unpredictability of him as the character could just snap at any point. And then he was still, and this is way, probably into his 40s or whatever, he's still doing moonsaults and all this other crazy shit. The I Quit match is probably one of the better matches of an I Quit match that I've seen, where, it felt legitimately like Terry Funk was getting ready to have his legs snapped by the figure four, but he really didn't want to quit. Gary Hart didn't want him to quit, and ultimately he did. So that was a nice little cap to that. The WWE run, not necessarily great in the ring, but obviously Three Beers said it. The Hell in the Cell, him just being a supporting cast member, that's into itself, it keeps him around in thoughts. Anytime that comes up, Terry Funk is playing a part. I can see him, trying to hold back Nick Foley, trying to be the voice of reason. That Terry Funk being the voice of reason at any given point should be an alarming point, but that's neither here nor there. I wish I need to just go back more and watch the old stuff, because the stuff that I see of him now is just in limited form in ring. Outside of that, not a big ECW guy. That's more of Joey's bag than it is mine. But to me, I always think of the Ric Flair feud, because that at least put him on my radar.
Isn't that the one they say? I'm sure there are people that disagree with this, but isn't that the one they say invented hardcore wrestling when Funk did a pile driver on Flair on top of a table or something? I mean, that's the way I think of him. I think of him as the father of hardcore. I know it's more complicated than that, but he was one. I mean, there's no way he's not John Moxley's favorite wrestler.
That was the angle coming into it, that he did a couple pile drivers, and one that was I think he ripped off the mat, and he did it on the exposed floor or whatever. So Ric Flair was out with a neck injury or whatever, and then from that point they just really played into the shit.
I guess my first memories of him really, I remember him when I was little, kind of. They say a lot of his really great shit when he was NWA champion, it's not even, can't find it anywhere. They didn't have videotapes of it, but he was supposedly super over. I remember reading the Mick Foley book in college, and I think it was the first wrestling book I ever read, and he talked about Terry Funk all the fucking time. He loved Terry Funk. He was his wrestling dad. So I think about that a lot, and I associate him with Mick Foley, even though I guess most people associate him with Flair. I mean, as his biggest rival, or at least when he was probably the most famous.
It's safe to say that Ric Flair is a little bigger in just wrestling popularity worldwide. So,
and that was more the peak of his career,
right? I heard some interesting
and
things.
Really, Japan he had a lot of stuff in Japan that was kind of towards the actual peak. He also wrestled a ton in St. Louis. So.
As a journalist, I did my journalistic duty today, and I listened to another wrestling podcast, and I learned some interesting things from a smart guy named Phil Schneider, who's a wrestling writer. Go out and seek him out. He writes for The Ringer sometimes. But he's also got a Bryan Danielson interview coming up in GQ, which is really fucking weird. But he's a Terry Funk fanatic, and he said Terry Funk was known for, I'd never heard this, that he was always he was never hesitant to change. Apparently he was a huge proponent of women's wrestling in Japan in the early 90s, when everybody thought of it as not serious at all. He was no, these women can really wrestle. ECW pushed a lot of boundaries. There's no question about that, and he was a pivotal part of ECW, and apparently he was a big proponent of lucha style also, because he did so much wrestling in Texas when he was young, and he would wrestle guys from Mexico. So I mean, kind of a forward-thinking dude. Definitely a legend, no doubt. I watched a few matches of his today. I watched one on YouTube that you can find, which is him versus Eddie Guerrero in like 1989. It's like 8 minutes long, but it's really fucking good. So go out and find a Terry Funk match on YouTube or something and watch it. It's a lot of fun. Anything else to say about the great life of Terry Funk?
No, I was going to say. No, go ahead, 3 beer. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to say that you mentioned the Japanese. He actually is the guy that turned Meltzer on to the Japanese women's wrestling because he told him to go watch the Crush Gals. And he's like, this is what the future of wrestling will be. And where like a lot of dudes would just scoff at, 130-pound women out there, thinking that they're pro wrestlers. And he's like, no, this is the future. And yeah, he was always like forward thinking. And another story that he told is he would go out there. He didn't ever have a plan for the match. He would be peeking through the curtain the whole time, seeing what popped the crowd and what didn't. And he would change everything that he did from the moment he walked out of the curtain until the moment that he walked back was completely catered to the actual crowd that he was in front of, because he would just study it, everybody's match on the card before his. Just a total class act dude. Anyway, go on.
R.I.P. Terry Funk, one of the best to ever do it.
Didn't know that shit. R.I.P.
That's going to do it for our 3 count.
1, 2, 3.
All right, we got some predictions, everybody. Wembley Stadium, this Saturday, noon Central, I believe.
Sunday.
Oh, it's Sunday, sorry. Yeah, noon Sunday, we have All In from Wembley Stadium.
Yeah, it's noon Central on Sunday. That's going to be really interesting. I'll throw a motherfucker on
0
off.
hours and 11.
Hey, man. Just calm down, okay? I don't know if Joey's going to be the play or not. I'm assuming that it is, but I don't think I can be at Joey's at 11 o'clock, man.
I'll tell you what.
Right.
When they first announced that they were going to play Wembley Stadium, run Wembley Stadium, I thought, and we all like fancy booked like cross-promotional, just all-time dream matches that were kind of done at Forbidden Door. This is an AEW pay-per-view. There is not a whole lot of people on this card that aren't usually on AEW. So I think that's pretty cool. So first off, the very first match of the night for 0 hour, we have Aussie Open versus MJF and Adam Cole, baby, for the ROH tag team titles. Zach, who do you have?
I have Aussie Open. Whether they're lost, Better Than You Bebe's loss adds to the strife and the story of the main event, or what have you. That's, I think, the vehicle for it and the reason for it. I think it would be bonkers to have them beat Aussie Open, because as Jason said, they're one of the better tag teams in the world, and they should have a nice little run with these ROH tag belts. But yeah, I've got Aussie Open.
He said everything I was going to say. I got Aussie Open.
I have Aussie Open also. That's like a Vince move, just sacrificing a really good tag team just for like being the side piece of a story. So I'm going to take Aussie Open also. We have Jungle Jack Perry versus Hook for the FTW title. I thought Jack Perry was supposed to retire it.
I think that's going to be on Saturday's Collision to lead to this match that we have. I stole on Wikipedia, so spoiler alert, everybody. Cook's coming back apparently on Saturday night.
Oh, my bad. I didn't know. Oh, that was a spoiler. My bad. Okay, so who you got?
Who do I have? I didn't even really think about this. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Jack Perry still. As much as I want Hook to come back and win it, I think Jack Perry keeping the title would be a little more intriguing. Hook should win, but I'll take Jack Perry.
Zach, who you got?
Give me Jungle.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's on the 0 hour. Oh, you know what? I'm talking myself into it. I'll take Hook. They're going to pop the crowd as going into the pay-per-view, so I'm going to take Hook. All right, up next we have Hikaru Shida versus Toni Storm versus Saraya versus Britt Baker for the women's title. It's a 4-way match. What are you making that face for?
You know why I'm making this face. You You know why.
No, what did I say?
This is on the 0 hour?
Oh, no. 0 hour's over now.
Okay.
0 hour's over now. No, sorry.
Boy, I was about to lose my goddamn mind.
Those are the only two
this actually
matches.
isn't
on the
even
0 hour.
televised. This is a dark match.
Yeah, they're putting this on Elevation.
Boy, I was about to see the there you go.
Jason, least the most.
It's kind of like when you hand a younger sibling, a controller, and you tell them that they're actually like playing the game. They're like, yeah, we're recording.
Yeah, right. You just keep holding on to that, kid. You'll be a great
That's what the
gamer one
entire
day.
FTW belt is.
You ain't shit. God
Are we
damn.
going least to most on this, or
Yeah, least to most. Who you got, Zach?
least to most? I'd say least Tony Storm. She's having too much fun breaking down. And then I'm gonna say this is surprising me even. I'm gonna say, you know what? I'm talking myself out of that. I'm gonna say second to least is Saraya, even though she's from the UK and that could pop the crowd. I still can't put her above Britt Baker because she's Britt Baker. So I think Britt Baker is going to be second, and I think Hikaru Shida is going to retain. Seemed real shit to like change the belt on her whenever she was like Pandemic champ. Seems like she's going to get her run here. Hopefully, she deserves it at least. And she's a really good wrestler, so I think Shida retains. So yeah, Tony Storm, Saraya, Britt Baker, Shida.
I have the exact same thing. It's not like Soraya's red hot right now. I think putting it back on Britt Baker would make more sense than that, but keeping it on Shida for all the same reasons that Zach said. I think the exact same.
I hate to sound redundant, but I am agreeing. It has to be Shida at this point. I mean, good Lord. You know, Saraya coming out of the blue would be the definite wild card of this bunch. Britt has had her turn. Tony, I think, is a 3-time champion. I don't think we're ready to see that just yet. This feels like a Shida run where, once again, next week, we have a pay-per-view. I would assume that she would be on that same pay-per-view in a singles match, but we'll talk about that next week.
So do you have the same?
Exactly.
Okay. We have Darby Allin and Sting versus Swerve Strickland and Christian Cage. I'll go first here. I believe that Sting is undefeated in AEW, so I am taking Darby Allin and Sting until they lose. Jason, who you got?
Yeah, I was making this joke at the crap table. Not the crap table. It was basically about a crap table. When you got the hot hand and somebody's rolling sevens at the top of the crap table, you just keep betting on that motherfucker until the wheels fall off. Darby and Sting, it could be wrestling basically anybody at this point. And especially in a coffin match. I mean, this Joker's a wrap.
Oh yeah. Who do you got, Zach?
Yeah, I'm not betting against Sting until they should teach me different.
The next up, we have the Golden Elite, which is Kenny Omega, Ibushi, and Hangman Page versus Bullet Club Gold and Takeshita. I went first last time. Jason, who you got?
I know who I want to win.
I know who you want to win too.
So I'm going to go the opposite. I'll take Omega, Page, and Ibushi for the win.
That is some pessimistic shit. Who you got, Zach?
I got the Bang Bang Gang.
I love that shit.
I am taking Bullet Club Gold also. Just because they got, I mean, Jay White's going to win at some point in a pay-per-view match. So
Doesn't mean he has to get pinned.
Stadium Stampede match.
That's why you got juice there.
Eddie Kingston, Orange Cassidy, Best Friends in Penta versus the Blackpool Combat Club, and LAX is what I still call them. I'm not calling them Proud and Powerful or whatever. I believe this is Eddie Kingston's story, but LAX came back. I am taking the bad guys, Blackpool Combat Club and LAX. Who you got, Jason?
I agree totally. This would be a feeling of a bit of a waste with Santana Ortiz. I've already been well documented on multiple rants on how they have been missed as AEW Tag Team Champions. Maybe we get that right later on down the line. Neither here nor there. I'm taking the bad guys.
Zach, who you got?
Yeah, I've got a Blackpool Combat Club. I just don't see, this is not the time for the faces to stand tall here. They'll continue their reign of terror.
CM Punk taking on Samoa Joe for the Real World Championship. And when you call it the Real World Championship, it makes me want to give it to Puck or fucking Johnny Bananas or somebody. Like the Real World Championship? You mean like the one that CT goes for in the challenge?
Mm-mm. You ain't shit.
God,
God.
it sounds dumb. There's no way Punk loses this. I'm taking Punk.
Ditto.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I know. Samoa Joe is pretty fucking cool right now. House of Black versus the Acclaimed and badass Billy Gunn. I'll go first here. Wouldn't be surprised if this was the curtain jerker, because the Acclaimed are going to be over in England, man.
They're going to go bonkers on that shit.
They really are, and that's why I'm taking the Acclaimed and the returning Billy Gunn. Zach, who you got?
Yeah, this would be a great curtain jerker. I also think we're going to get a feel-good win here. Curtain jerker because Billy Gunn's, got a bedtime. His melatonin's going to kick in.
God damn, dude. You ain't shit. Come on, man.
All right.
He looks better physically than most wrestlers on the roster.
Billy Gunn?
He looks better than both of his sons.
He is, fucking A. One's got a concave chest. Of course he does. He looks like a total badass. All right, so we're all in agreement on that. So we also have FTR versus the Young Bucks to find out who is the greatest tag team in the world. Jason.
I'll just put this disclaimer out there. I don't think this proves that who's the greatest tag team. But let's say we can't dig up the Road Warriors, so neither here nor there. Not as intriguing to me as Adam Cole, baby, versus MJF. At least the build to it, because this has been a much longer build. Not much. Like I said, this to me. You didn't have to build this. You just got to announce it when it's going to happen. Throw some titles up there. Don't throw some titles up there. It ultimately doesn't matter. This rivalry doesn't really need a feud per se. Now, all that being said, I almost agree with Nick Jackson. It feels like FTR kind of needs this a little more. I personally don't think so. I think that they're good as they are. If they, for whatever reason, they don't win this match, I don't think it's the end of FTR's legacy. It's not a dent on it. They've done way too much in just the last 18 months. I'll just go that far, and I'll be conservative on that to make me think that this takes them out of the conversation of greatest tag team of all time. So, on that note, I am going to take FTR. I don't think the Bucks need it. I think this is a time to, if you're going to make this division about something long-term, FTR can lead that train going forward. So I'm going to take FTR.
Zach, who you got?
I got the Young Bucks, and I think it does prove who the greatest tag team in the world is.
He just told you.
Yeah, whatever, motherfucker. That's it. Aussie Open is still around, brother.
Man, I've been going.
They might get there eventually.
I've been going back and forth on this.
Fuck you, dude.
I bet they don't even know yet. I bet they don't even know who's going to win. I bet there's some fucking politicking going on back there.
I wouldn't be surprised if they know just at this point.
Taking the Young Bucks. Because they're acting more heelish. And I am psyched for that match. I cannot wait for that fucking match. And then the two biggest ones in my eyes, I can't believe that Will Ospreay segment did that to me, but Will Ospreay versus Chris Jericho. Who you got, Jason?
I'll go this far. When Will Ospreay brought up his contract, it wasn't for any reason. Will Ospreay's not stupid, okay? I was thinking about that this morning, where Will Ospreay can come on this roster, and I wouldn't necessarily lose my goddamn mind like I've done with others. It would be equivalent, akin to Jay White, if you will. It would be an amazing pickup, and you would be foolish not to do that. all that said, this is Chris Jericho we're talking about. I would go this far. I would be surprised to see Chris Jericho lose, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. Will Ospreay, to me, is on my short list of Wrestler of the Year. To have him pull this number off and beat guys that are on Mount Rushmore's Hall of Fames in such a short time, I just think it just adds to his just legacy, I guess, for a lack of a better term. It just puts him on another level with AEW fans. It gives Tony Khan some goodwill. He's not stupid either. I think all signs point to Will Ospreay.
What do you got, Zach?
I got Will Ospreay. I can't imagine Jericho getting in this match to win it. Jesus Christ, that would be depressing.
Yeah, it's going to be Bill Ospreay. I mean, I do not see Jericho going in there to lose. I mean, how can you not be excited for this match, though? Like, if Bill Ospreay can get a match out of Tangaloa, I mean, him versus Jericho is going to be really fucking good.
I mean, he's fucking weekend at Bernie Naito for a couple minutes there.
He did.
And in a 6-star match. That match got 6 stars.
Jericho's going to be fucking motivated, too. We're going to see everything that Jericho's got.
Yeah. Both guys are going to leave it on the table. I would be a little surprised if you don't see, speaking of tables, some sort of, I won't call it fuckery, but more of a New Japan style match, if you will, where tables get involved. You get maybe, throw somebody in commentary, shit like that, especially with the commentary table now that's down by ringside. I saw that on Saturday night on Collision. I was like, well, damn, they've never really done that before until now. So I would expect somebody to go through that table if they have it set up for Wembley on Saturday morning.
And now,
I mean, Don Callis can throw some brass knucks in the ring, and yeah.
And now for the big one, it is MJF versus Adam Cole, baby, for the heavyweight championship. This is going to be the culmination. There's lots of speculation out there. Everybody's got an opinion about what's going to happen, who's going to turn on who. I'll go first here. I think that I think this is going to be kind of anticlimactic, and I think they are going to have a great match, and I think they're going to end it just with more tension. I don't think that we're going to see a full turn here, but I think that we're going to see Adam Cole, baby, win the championship. I'm going with Adam Cole. Jason, who do you got?
I agree with, to a certain degree, I don't think they completely, I take that back. I think they're just going to do it right now because they have the pay-per-view next week. I'm going to stick to what I thought. I think MJF retains. I think MJF turns on Adam Cole to retain just before. That's the tension. Who knifes who in the back first? Whoever does that first ultimately wins this match. I think Adam Cole kind of wants to do it. I think MJF is geared to do it. That's how I think it's going to happen. The Kingdom in some form or fashion, I think, gets involved. That's where I think more so where if you see them get involved, that's where I think they lean towards going against Adam Cole versus going against MJF. I just think all signs points to Adam Cole losing. MJF following the next week. I said it last week. That's a unification match with Punk. That's your main event for All Out.
All right, and Zach, who you got?
I am thinking more along the lines of Jason, but slightly different. I do think that Cole turns on MJF, but MJF still retains some of his babyface status, and Cole and the Kingdom, like Cole starts leading the Kingdom with Roderick Strong, that's where I'm at with it. But yeah, MJF retains.
All right, everybody, those are your 2023.
I like that Adam Cole leads the Kingdom spot. I like that a lot.
The Kingdom are the wild card.
They are the wild card.
Going into that, which is pretty strange. So that's going to do it for our predictions. You know, I was just thinking, like, with all the father-son shit that Christian Cage is a part of these days, he's now hanging out with a guy named Brian Cage. Why don't they kayfabe make Brian Cage Christian's son? Or like his nephew or something.
No.
Or like his nephew.
Stop.
Let me book the territory.
No, you are not. Not for this shit.
Let me book the territory.
No.
What?
Not for that one, you not.
Mind your own business, Dad.
You come make me.
Was that Brian Cage talking to Christian Cage?
Exactly. Birthdays this week. Funaki is 55. Vince McMahon is 78. Rocky Johnson, 79. Grand Metalik is 35. Crash Holly is 52. Great Khali is 51. Crash Holly being a year older than Great Khali is funny to me for some reason. And Sergeant Slaughter is 75. Hey, everybody, we know there's a ton of podcasts to listen to, so we do appreciate you listening to our podcast. For Tenor Mahal.
Check.
For Murray the Murray Man Murray.
Check.
For Lucha Chris.
Double
for
check.
Patriot Pat.
Double check.
For Vice.
Check.
For Xander the Cat.
Check.
For Millie the Cat.
Check.
For Reba the Dog. For Edna the Baby. For
Check.
Aaron the Wife.
Double check. Double check.
R.I.P. Bray Wyatt. R.I.P.
Triple
Terry
check.
Funk.
Triple
What
check.
a bummer. Black Lives Matter.
Check.
Support your local weed dealers.
Check.
Support your local restaurants.
Check.
And boo the heels.
Ooh.
Oh, wait. Oh, I went
bitch.
way
Yeah.
early. Oh,
You
man,
forgot about us.
I've never done that. Oh, for 2 beers, Zach Bowman, for Jason Cornelius Bell, I'm Bill Vagey, and everybody never ever forget to boo the heels.
This motherfucker here.